Hello learners, I welcome you all to the second segment of second lecture. In this segment, we will be looking at what are the initiatives that have been taken to address the gap or to bridge the gap between the way in which the foreign investment operates and the way in which we can take initiatives for protecting the environment. There's no doubt that primarily bilateral investment treaties are focused on giving protection to investor and investment. So there's no doubt about it. But nowadays we do see the treaties are drafted in a balanced way. That is also there. So when so much of emphasis is given on protecting the investment or investors, what about regulating the activities of multinational companies or transnational companies or the investors in order to ensure that they do not conduct their activities in such a way that it harms the environment. I mean, such a regulation would come from the domestic level. What we see is domestically whatever measures are taken, that gets challenged. So we are interested in getting to know if at the international level is there any initiatives that have taken in order to address the gap between, at the international level you've promised a protection. So is there parallelly anything with regard to that for the protection of environment? Protection of investment, we have international treaties, but with regard to protection of environment, what are the international initiatives that have been taken? So we will take a quick look at some of the such initiatives that have been taken, and we'll also discuss a little bit about how successful they were. I mean, primarily there is no international instrument for regulating the activities of transnational corporations, especially in the context of their impact on the environment. But if we look at the UN Subcommission on the Promotion and Protection of Human Rights, which was drafted in 2003, the UN Subcommission drafted the norms on the responsibilities of transnational corporations and other business enterprises with regard to human rights. But what we see here is it is still in the draft form because it did not get the necessary support from the international business sector. But we also see some of the codes that were adopted at the international level, maybe voluntary codes, which may be relevant for us to have a discussion on how far these codes contribute to protecting the environment by imposing certain things, not imposing, by ensuring that the corporations adopt the provisions of these codes. So we can see that there is United Nations Global Compact at the international level, the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, and it stated 10 principles in the area of human rights, labor, environment and anti-corruption. So the United Nations Human Rights Council also endorsed the UN Special Representative John Ruggie's guiding principle on business and human rights. So we can see that the guiding principles basically rest on three pillars of the state duty to protect human rights, the corporate responsibility to protect human rights and access to remedy. Similarly, the OECD also has guidelines for multinational enterprises which contain principles of responsible business conduct in matters of employment, industrial relations, human rights, environment, information disclosure, anti-corruption, etc. One other interesting aspect for us to note in the OECD guidelines is that the guidelines actually seek to control the business behavior that may otherwise escape oversight because there is no single jurisdiction which clearly has an authority over the activities of the multinational corporations. So we do have this OECD guidelines, but the primary problem in regulating the activities of multinational corporation is actually highlighted because there is no single jurisdiction to do so. So apart from these instruments, we also have some regional or thematic instruments at the international level. For instance, we can see that there is the International Labour Organization has a tripartite declaration of principle concerning multinational enterprises and social policy focusing on labor rights. Even the International Organization for Standardization also provides for some voluntary practices, but there are otherwise we do not see any binding instruments that regulate the activities of foreign companies or foreign investors. So those sort of one particular binding instrument is not there. So we could say that whatever we have in the context of protecting the environment that exists at the international level operates from a soft law perspective, but the commitments that the countries have taken with regard to protecting the investment, that operates as a hard law perspective. So clearly there is some gap, I mean there are initiatives to bridge the gap, but essentially the way in which these two concepts operate, again there is difference. This one operates merely in a soft law approach, and the protection to investor operates in a hard law approach. So now it is time for us to analyze, when this is the situation, when there are initiatives to address a gap and all of that. Then in the first segment we looked at the clash between foreign investment and environment. What is the contemporary status of the concept of foreign investment and environment? Can it be reconciled, or the clash would just continue? So we will discuss that in the third segment. Thank you.